Hi, so today we're going to do a card, and I'm just going to show you some ideas as to how you can put the card together. So this is a scene that I've drawn. Just going to move the camera up. And the idea is that the ducks will sit on this. I haven't stuck them on so that you can see it before we start, and like that. Okay. The other option, which is a simpler for if you're not wanting to do a background like that, is that you take a contrasting colour like this blue, and you can just stick your duck and duckling on. And I thought this looked quite nice if you add in the happy birthday, one of the bits of paper with happy birthday written on it, or you can colour it yourself, in which case your card is just concentrating on what the duck and the duckling look like. So you can play around with how you want it to look, to whatever suits you. You'll find that the duck's quite tall, so you can see that it actually extends. It just fits in if you put the feet right at the bottom, but I quite like having these things stick off at the side, so that's one option, is you do it like that. So what I'm going to do to begin with is I'm going to show you how to do the back. The first thing that you're going to want to do, you can just move this over, you're going to want to fold your card in half so you know which areas you're going to be decorating. You don't have to do this. If you want to draw a line and have it and use it that way, then that's also fine. I recommend having a bit of paper underneath your work, because you'll tend to find that your pens will go off the edge a bit. So I've got a bit of paper. This is a non-stick sheet that I use as well, just to give you a clearer background. So what I did was I used oil pastels. These are the oil pastels that I used. They cost a little bit more than the standard wax crayons, but they have a lot more colour and they're easier to draw with. They're just a lot softer. So I have to say I've become a great fan of these and the way that you can use them. But you'll find wax crayons will work perfectly well, or if you want to use sketch pens, then that'll be fine as well. So just standard sketch pens, or even if you want to use coloured pencils, you can use coloured pencils as well. But I'm going to be using these crayons. You don't need to have as many colours. This is a pack of 24, I think it is, 25. You can just blend your colours if you don't have that many, and I'll show you how to do that. So the idea is that we will have grass at the front. We're going to have a pond. I've done some hills and some trees, but you can have whatever you like there. And I then stuck a sun on right at the end just to make it a bit brighter and give it some sun rays and so on. But you can do as much or as little of this as you like. It's completely up to you. So I'll show you how I did that. I'm just going to use the green to kind of outline the pond. Maybe our pond can be there. And also to outline the hills in the background. Okay. I might make my pond a little bit smaller than that, actually. There we go. Okay. So the way that I found these work best is if you use a couple of colours and then you blend them, either using your finger or some paper or a cotton wool bud for the fine areas that you want to control. So I'm going to put down some light green. You need a certain amount of wax down before you can blend them successfully. So if it doesn't blend, it's probably just because you haven't got enough wax on the page. So I'm going to do a kind of greeny background. It doesn't have to be very precise, because you'll see in a second that we're going to be blending this. I'm then going to pick up the other green and I'm going to put some green in. I want it to be a bit darker down here, but I'm going to be doing kind of tufts of grass, so I don't want to make it too dark because I want them to show up. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to blend the colours. Now, it turns out that all those bills that you get from college stores or from Amazon, they're very useful because the paper's very thin and it makes it very easy to control. You can cover your paper, you can fold up your bit of paper. Don't use the bit with the ink showing because the ink might come off onto the drawing that you're trying to smudge. So I'll show you a couple of different ways of doing it. One is that you take a bit like this and you're just going to rub the colours so that they smooth into each other and you don't see quite so many streaks. You see the way it's getting smoother already. You have to press quite hard to do this. You can also use oil or baby shampoo to smudge these along if you want to. We did do that once in class a very long time ago. So you can see the difference then from the start to the finish. This one I've put some more lines on top. You can keep going and make it just the kind of texture and the colour that you want to. I'm now going to go up to the top and work my way down because I think that'll be easier, because otherwise I'm going to be smudging the colours as I put my hand on them. And that's the one thing with the wax, is it does tend to smudge a bit. So we'll use some blues. And I do like the way that these crayons colour very quickly, whereas with a sketch pen it takes a lot longer to give these kind of detail, do this amount of filling, unless you've got really thick pens. And I'm going to put some darker colour in at the top. And again, now what you want to do is to make sure you have a clean bit of paper for each colour that you're doing, because otherwise this green will transfer onto the blue. So I'm going to just get another bit of receipt. A great way to use up these receipts, guys. Mind you, I think I'd have to do an awful lot of drawing to do this. And I'm just going to smudge these again. It gives it more of a kind of watercolour-y look. I think I probably need a bit more colour in there looking at that. You see how it's still quite stripy and there's white showing? So I'm going to go over with some more blue. My hills are going to be a darker colour, so I don't need to worry about going over the edge of my hill lines. You just get a lot more control with the buds, which I like. Okay, so now I'm going to do the pond water, and again I'm going to start with a light colour. I'm going to go basically all the way across. One's a bit smaller than the last one. Some darker colour in. Okay. And last not least, I want to put the sun up. Now, you're going to get an egg shape, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn that into a half sun up there. So if you decide where your sun's going to be, you can then start adding some rays and a bit of light. You can do as much or a little as you like from this. I'm just going to do some. And what I suggest you do is you stick it down and then you cut it. So you don't want it to go too far down, you want it to be about like that. Oh, do a little bit of smudging. Just a little bit, not too much. There we go. And then we can cut. If you look from the back, you can easily see where to cut it. There we go. So you've kind of got a bit of greenery and a bit of a scene to put your duck on. Now, I'll show you the ones that I've done before for the ducks. And I'll show you how I coloured them in. There we go. A little mummy duck and baby duck. So yes, you're going to cover up some of the green, but it means at least no matter where you place it, you've got some background available. Okay.